Hello, everyone. This is Cate Stillman with Wellness Pro Academy, and I'm super stoked to have Tad Hargrave, marketing for hippies.com, on the line. And Tad and I, we were just figuring, last time we talked, I'm guessing is 5+ years ago. We'll archive it and it's another podcast. So we'll put it in the show notes if anyone wants to go back and hear a conversation that was maybe in the same vein, but my guess is we both evolved. So I ran into Tad's work again out of the blue because I was looking at Wellness Pro Academy. I was looking for the best way for our wellness pros who are using this super streamlined business model we call club to have leads, because we figured that the number one metric, like the only metric they really needed to track to have a successful club, was the number of scheduled appointments with leads for their club, which is like a mastermind group, or it's like a course that has a lot more community dynamic interaction. That the only way they needed to be financially successful with their club is to track the number of leads they had a week, and how are they going to get their leads. So it was the best way, the most streamlined, if we only could choose one way for wellness pros to get leads. And that brought me straight back into Tad's world and his marketing for hippie. He has a book called Hub Marketing, and I read the thing really quickly, and I watched his YouTube playlist, which we'll also put in the show notes, on Hub Marketing. And I'm like, this is what we've been doing. This is what's worked for us. And yes, this is exactly what we're going to teach. So we started teaching that, Tad, in November as like, this is the only thing you need to do and keep metrics on, and instant results.
Really?
Yeah. And I think the biggest, most important thing is because wellness pros don't want to become digital marketers.
Right.
And it's very technical to become a digital marketer. And there's shiny objects everywhere you look. And this depletes wellness pros from their core work, because we want our wellness pros to be wellness pros. We don't want them to become digital marketers. Is that this helps them get, actually, it reinforces them in their core competencies, where they can stand in their power and their truth and in their impact, and connect with other hubs or other business owners. That actually reinforces their value, because a lot of them struggle with insecurity and really knowing their place in the world. And this actually is just, it's just magic all over the place. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about, for those who don't know, what hub marketing is? Like, let's just start from the beginning.
You bet. I mean, I'm just making a note about what you said there about there's something about realizing that social media can reinforce insecurity because you don't get a response. Yeah. And that's just how that landed for me. Is I think for a lot of people, right, they're putting stuff out there, but nobody responds. And it's hard not to let that get to you. It's hard not to feel like, oh, I must be doing something wrong, or maybe I'm not that smart. Maybe my thoughts aren't that compelling. And I think people can spiral out. Right. So, I mean, this is the first thing to say is, of course, we actually don't need to be on social media at all. We don't need a website. We don't need a blog. We don't need a Substack. We don't need a YouTube channel. We don't need anything in particular. We just need something. That's the first thing. It's very easy that, well, you have to be on TikTok or you have to be on Instagram, and you don't. You just have to do something. And so then what's the something that we have to do? Well, people will think, well, what I have to do is I have to get my name out there. I got to go find clients. But I think that orientation is part of what misguides us, because what we really need to do, in my opinion, is not find clients as much as make it really easy for our ideal clients to find us. Because they're already looking. Our ideal clients, by definition, are looking for us. And for us specifically, even if they don't know it's us until they find us. And because we've all had this, you read a book and it's like, this is the book I've been looking for years. Oh my God, finally somebody wrote it and put this all together. But you weren't looking for that author or that book. You didn't know until you found it. But you're their fan. You were sort of metaphysically, you were their fan before you knew about the book. It was just sort of kismet, waiting for paths to cross. So I think this is true. And we're just trying to make it easier that happens. And so how do we do that? Well, there's all kinds of tactics. And so, of course, social media is one, and a website and SEO is another, and email marketing. There are all sorts of tactics, but they all play that same function of bringing people to us. And which is also good to remember, people think, oh, I should be better at marketing myself. And one, it's worth questioning this thought that marketing ourselves is what we're doing, that we're selling ourselves. But number two, where do people get this insane idea that we're supposed to be good at marketing ourselves? I mean, this just bears no resemblance to the reality. I know that most of us feel very awkward and shy about marketing ourselves. So we're just not that good at it. The best anyone will ever be at kind of promoting themselves and shamelessly plugging themselves is less awful, but you're never going to be that great at it. Which sounds like a depressing way to start answering this question about hub marketing. But it's actually very hopeful because the superpower that we all have, I mean, self-promotion is kryptonite for most of us, yeah? It's just straight up, all our superpowers vanish. But what are our superpowers? Our superpower is not self-promotion, it's promoting others. That's what we're all universally great at. Evidenced by the number of businesses that are probably alive because of us. Because we say that restaurant we just keep bringing people to, in part. Like I went to Audrey's Books in Edmonton one year. I said, how much money did I spend here last year? And they pulled it up. So $6,000. Geez, I paid somebody's salary for 3 months or more. I don't know, that's a lot of money. So both from our own expenditures, but even more so from the people we bring, and then they spend a certain amount of money. So anyways, we're really good at promoting other people. So when you combine these things, the fact that people are good at promoting others, and we're trying to make it easy for people to find us, you put those together and you get this idea of hubs, that there are certain people out there who are very well connected and very well respected. And so as people are wandering through the maze and labyrinth of the woods and getting lost, but they're looking for an answer, there's certain people they might cross who live there, and they say, hey, you're familiar with this area. Who do I talk to? Or how do I get to this place? You want to go down there and try, So hubs are these people who are kind of in the know. And, but it could also be a hub could be like a sign, in a mall. You are here. Where do you want to get to? This is a hub too. So hubs could be an event where all your people go to. It could be a group they're a part of. It could be a podcast they follow, a person they're connected to, media they consume, hashtags. All of those things are hubs. It's just this question, where do they gather? Where do they already spend their time? Where do they spend their money? Where do they spend their attention? Those are hubs. And so the notion is that, there's kind of 3 levels of marketing: cold, warm, and hot. And the cold level is just you approaching strangers and trying to convince them to work with you, which is almost impossible. But then I realize that when people think about marketing, that's what they think about fundamentally. How do I go approach strangers and get them to buy now? And it's not that doesn't work. That just doesn't work. You put in 10 units of effort, get 1 unit of reward on a good day. And you can get less shitty at that, but you're not going to be good at it. You're never going to get great results just because the model itself doesn't work. Like in permaculture, they talk about a type 0 error. You put solar panels on the north side of your house. It's just, that's only ever going to be slightly less terrible, but it's never going to be really efficient. It's never really going to do the work it could on the south side. So the same thing with this cold approach. And then there's the warm approach. And this is the hub marketing, where you start, instead of trying to directly go to somebody, you triangulate and you say, okay, there's me, there's the person I want to approach, but there's a third person, and they're already connected to a bunch of these people. So instead of trying to individually approach everyone in that crowd, I'm just going to build a relationship with this person and they will introduce me. And that brings us to the hot level, where we've become a hub. And now it's all reputation and word of mouth. And we all know therapists, we know restaurants, that permaculture company, you just can't get in. They sell out immediately. And that's because they've already become a hub. So that's the short version of it.
So for Wellness Pro, they're already a hub because they have clients.
Yeah.
So if they see themselves as a hub and they're already getting referred to, and then they're already telling their clients or patients or students about other resources, like I love this restaurant, or go buy your supplements at this store, or
yeah, we become a hub. But the way that we become a hub is the way we get to the hot level is through the warm level. Fundamentally, we have to stop doing the cold thing. The cold approach just doesn't work that well, and we start doing the warm thing. And then through that, there really is a point you can probably stop marketing.
Yeah.
Or the marketing just takes a very different flavor, and the marketing is actually just continuing to make amazing food and increase your customer service and give your customers the best experience, so they do the marketing for you. But you can stop placing ads. There really is a time where people just don't do any ads. They don't do any promotion at all, and they're just turning people away.
Well, in that, I mean, with Wellness Pro Academy, with the club model that we're teaching, it's all, I mean, most clubs will be 20 to 50 people. So, I mean, scarcity it's in the
Right.
model. Right. And it's not because of any other reason than like this is what tends to really work well for our wellness pros who they don't want to work a 60-hour work week. Like they don't want to, like they want to lead from their wellness lifestyle. So in what you're saying there, I'd say amen and absolutely, because it's based on, if you really only say you have a 50% conversion rate with people that you're talking to, because by the time they've heard of you, they've come through someone else and you have a real deep dive conversation and you actually have what they need. We do find this to be true. Like for most of our people, it might be 30% to 50 to 60% conversion rate. Like we're talking to, you know, a 50-person club in our world is big. It's really big. So the typical we'll say is 30. So if they have a 30% conversion rate, they're having 100 conversations a year. If we divide that by 12, right, we're having, you know, good 8 conversations a month or 2 conversations a week. So it's not that many people.
It's a good business model.
Yeah. It works. I mean, it works great because it becomes easy to refer to because the members have great experiences. So I just want to highlight the hard part for our people is probably getting started and identifying their core hubs. Now, one of the key issues I see is people want to hub with their really kind of their competitors or people in the same vein, other wellness pros. Can we talk a little bit about, go ahead.
Yeah. So, well, let's just imagine there's different sets of hubs. So one is, which is a legitimate set of hubs. You know, if you're a holistic practitioner and there's other holistic practitioners, they may be able to refer you people. The challenge is that people get really locked into the boat. You know, there's island A, there's island B. Your clients are on island A. They want to be on island B. Your business is like a boat that could take them from one island to the other. So the boat is, I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner. That's the boat. That's the modality. And so they think, oh, I should. So one thing you could do is you could talk to other Ayurvedic practitioners. But if you understand, if the only thing you've got that's unique about you is the boat, they'll say, well, why would I send you business? It takes away from me. Then you may say, I'm going to get wise. I'm going to go to other holistic practice, so a naturopath or a massage therapist or yoga teacher. And that's better because now they're saying, okay, you do something I don't do. Yeah, I may need to refer out. And I've heard Ayurveda is good, so I'm happy to refer out. And that's fine. I mean, I don't recommend people don't do that. But there's a much more compelling set of hubs that also reinforces and goes back to making those other two better, which is just having a niche. And knowing who it is you're trying to reach and what it is you do, and really having an answer to those questions of who, what, where, when, why, and how. Like, who are you trying to reach? Where are you reaching them? When? Why do you do it? How do you do it? That's unique, you know, and all that, you know, you're trying to clarify those things and get your niche correct. Because, for example, let's say the boat is Ayurvedic medicine, but the journey is oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. I did a puttering session years ago. A woman had she did Ayurvedic work, and what was it around? She okay. Anyway, she had a condition. I wish I could remember, but let's say the condition was autoimmune conditions. Oh, I think that's what it was. She had an autoimmune condition, and she tracked everything, and nothing had worked. And then she found an Ayurvedic practitioner, and within a few years, she was healed completely. She's fine, no problems. And she was thinking, okay, my niche is going to be women entrepreneurs who want. And I was just like, this is so random. What? And I asked her, what got you started? Oh, I had an autoimmune condition, and this kind of cured it for me. I said, why don't you focus on that? So imagine this. You say, okay, I'm going to focus on the autoimmune conditions. And you might even pick a specific one, but let's just say you go general with that. Well, then you go to the other Ayurvedic practitioners and you say, look, I know we both do Ayurvedic, but I've really niched down to this. So if you run into any problem clients around the autoimmune thing, feel free to send them my way. And you go to the other holistic practitioners and say, how you do it? Yeah, Ayurveda, which is different than you. But also if you run into people who are struggling with the autoimmune. But then there's the third set of hubs where you think, wait, people with autoimmune conditions, where do they go? What are the hubs for them? Well, there are going to be Facebook groups, and certainly the other practitioners will be something as a major set of hubs. But maybe they go to the supplement store too. So now we're not just talking practitioners, and maybe I should actually get to know the staff at these supplement stores locally in my town, and maybe there's hashtags that they follow, and maybe there's TikTok info. Maybe there's an author who they really follow and admire, and you start to figure out all these other hubs where these people gather, and you build relationships and connections with them, and then it works much better. I'm wondering if it might be helpful if I went over some examples of what hub marketing can look like for service providers.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so can I do a screen share?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. So this is from a little presentation that I did recently. So a bunch of examples. Okay, so first of all, hosting live presentations. For most practitioners, this is going to be the number one thing. Just to have people bring you in to talk to their people about whatever the issue is that you most want to help people with. So if you focus on autoimmune conditions and a yoga studio, and they're like, yeah, a lot of people come to us with autoimmune conditions, and that's what, would you host a presentation at your yoga studio? We'll charge $25. You keep all the money. I'll just do the presentation if they work with me, right? Yeah. But you get the host to bring you in to talk about this issue that you help people with, which again, the thing that will kibosh every one of these tactics is trying to be everything to everybody. Oh, I have a bunch of modalities, and the best part is they can help anyone with anything. And my style, I can be firm, I can be gentle, I can be whatever you want. This approach, none of these strategies matter or will work. But if you figure out your niche and you figure out what you're about, and fundamentally, what do you want to be known for? And what's the issue you most want to help people with, which as a service provider is the biggest thing. What's the result or the problem? Yeah. Then this comes alive. So hosted live presentations, people, this is live or on Zoom. They bring you in to talk to their people. Huge. Another one. Oh, this is an example of this, because this is, it can be by accident. This guy, Ahmed Miles, who's a acupuncturist in Victoria. And I was talking with him one day and I said, where do you get most of your clients from? Because he had a pretty full practice. He said, actually, two sources. One, there's a physiotherapist who just really liked his work and sent him a ton of people. And second was he'd spoken at this New Age church in Victoria. And he wasn't talking about acupuncture. They brought him in to speak about yin yang, dynamics and relationships. And they thought they had a fairly sophisticated divine masculine, divine feminine take on things. And he just gave them, they realized at the end they were in kindergarten. He gave them the PhD dissertation, and they were so blown away that they all started seeing him for acupuncture, even though he wasn't there promoting acupuncture. Just the point of view resonated so much. So it can be funny things like that. My first gig in Ottawa, I'd never been in Ottawa doing a workshop before, and a woman, Aria Deepwater, said, you should talk to Heather Garrett, who runs Planet Botanics, which is the store you see, and she's a real hub in Ottawa in the holistic scene. So I reached out and she said, oh my God, my community needs this so badly. You should come to do a workshop. I said, how about this? I did the $25 thing. It's everyone who signs up. It's a day-long workshop. You get $25 for anyone who signs up from you. She said, great. And she filled up 2 day-long workshops, both with 60 people in a town I'd never been to. One hub. So, it doesn't take a lot all the time. Sometimes just the right hub gets you in front of people. And then, of course, if you're in front of them, well, you make money, hopefully from that, but then they may then want to work with you if you have some good next level offer. Hosted Zoom presentations. Same thing, just the virtual version of it. Instead of a live presentation, you do the Zoom presentation. Then we've got being interviewed on podcasts. My gosh, for a lot of, especially if you get very niched, this is a big deal. If you get really niched, you don't, let's say it's like I work with like women in the African-American community who have Graves' disease or something, it's like so niche. There was a woman who I just talked with. She is in Mississauga, Ontario, and she does, it was kind of weight loss, and it was coming from a metabolic angle and a lot of emotional work and healing the gut. But I said, well, okay, And then she, in the conversation, she realized almost all of her clients were from the, she was a South Asian woman, and they were all, literally all of her clients had been South Asian women. I said, is there anything unique for South Asian women on the weight loss thing? She's like, yeah, they don't want to give up the rice. There's so much fried food, particularly in that cuisine. And then they go to social events all the time where there's all this delicious food. Anyways, there were some things. I said, well, what if you just went local with it? What if instead of being online, you went local, but you really narrowed down, yeah, to this? And she thought that was pretty exciting. But of course, she could also, there's going to be so many podcasts out there for South Asian women around their health. I mean, I don't know this for a fact. I haven't checked, but I promise you there are. And if there's not, she could actually create one and become a hub for it, you know. But she could be interviewed about weight loss. She'd be interviewed on podcasts for South Asian women around health. She could be, you know, all sorts of things would get her in front of people. Then we've got networking. So this is Inigo Montoya's guide to networking, just in case you want some pro tips.
You should read it because someone will listen on audio.
Okay, so hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You kill my father, prepare to die. So Inigo's guide to networking says, polite greeting, hello. Name, my name is Inigo Montoya. Relevant personal link, you killed my father. Manage expectations, prepare to die.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Anyways.
Wow, that's so great because that's all you have to remember. And I mean, any Princess Bride fans, you probably already know those lines. I do.
Totally. So the networking can be a great way. But when we talk about networking, how does this connect with hubs? Because that could seem like you're just going out there trying to get clients, you know, directly. Instead, we look at it two different ways. One, stop networking for clients, start networking for hubs. It changes the events you go to for networking events. You start going to events, you think, okay, I want to reach women in the South Asian community who are struggling with their weight. I'm going to go to the South Asian events. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to go to the ones, maybe there's and then she said, oh my God, there's a South Asian bridal show coming up. I was just like, there's your hub. You see what I'm saying?
Totally. Nailed it.
So I'd say you go to that event, but you don't go around saying, hey, you look like you could lose a few pounds. You want to work, you don't do this. But you see what I'm saying? Like how insane the networking for clients becomes. You know, instead, what you do is there's all these booths. So you go to that bridal show and you talk to every booth that you think could be a source of hubs for you, which is probably going to be most of them. And you just introduce yourself. And you just have a conversation. They're trapped. They have to talk to you. But anyway, you get to know them a little bit. You get their card and you follow up after. And then you just start to see which ones might, because maybe there's a fitness trainer there. Like, hey, you know, how to get in shape for your wedding. And that's a thing where you could say, look, do you do the diet thing? Do you do healing the gut and the metabolism thing? I do. Hey, we could partner together. You know, suddenly you've got this. It's real easy. And so number one, you network for hubs. Don't network for clients. Go looking for the people who could introduce you to clients. And number two, if you feel very shy about it, you can go with somebody else and you network for each other. I network for you, you network for me. And sometimes that takes the heat of it off, and it actually makes the networking more successful because any of the shyness you have even about approaching hubs is gone as your friend is just relentlessly, shamelessly trying to drag people over to you and you're dragging people over to them. It works better for everybody. But the other thing is if you go to an event, there's a host of that event. So you go up to the host and you say, hey, and thank you so much for hosting this party. It's amazing. Oh, hey, thank you so much. And how did you hear about that? Oh, from this person. That's great. And how's the party for you? Are you meeting good people? I am. And you say, you know, and I would love to meet, I don't know if there's anyone here who does, and you describe who you're looking for as a hub, not a client. You say, do you know anyone who's really connected to, you know, people who are struggling with autoimmune conditions? Is there anyone out there? Is there anyone, people, you know, whatever the health issue? And they say, oh, let me think, you know, yeah, come with me. And then they drag you. So you see what I'm saying? Instead of going to a networking event and just shaking hands and giving out business cards as if to say, hey, here's my card. Could you throw that out for me? Instead of that racket, you just go to the host and they introduce you to people. And everyone you talk to, you say, you know, I don't know anyone here. Do you know anyone who's connected to these people? So maybe instead of giving out 100 business cards, you've talked to 4 people throughout the night, but they're all hubs who could all be the source of dozens of clients. So networking certainly as a service provider work very well. Being endorsed if you can find somebody, it doesn't have to be that they host you. It might just be that they do a testimonial for you, or they email their list about you and put their stamp of approval. Hey, I met this person. They do this work. You can trust them. Go check it out. And if the hub does that, oh my, I mean, that can do the whole thing. Affiliate marketing, of course. You could be promoting other people, but you can get other people to promote. You can say, hey, if you promote this course, you get this cut on that. And so that as a service provider can work very well. Facebook ads on hub's accounts. Here's the one that I got from somebody. Let's say you find a hub and they really reach this community. Well, you could ask them to make a post, but as we know these days, man, putting a post on a Facebook page is silence, crickets, nothing. But the Facebook ads can work fairly well. But you could go to a hub and say, you've got a Facebook page that totally reaches my people. Would you be willing to do an ad on your page and I will pay for it? Like a $200 ad, I'll pay you the $200, but you do the ad on your page. I can even, if you give me access, I can have somebody else set it up for you if there's enough trust, and you do the ad and that ad goes to you. And then you can also do an affiliate thing where anyone who comes through this link will give you a cut, but you can use their account to do the ad instead of just your own doing Facebook ads on your own thing. So of course there needs to be some trust there and they need to really admire you. Yeah. Mortgage broker. So this was an interesting example where he was a mortgage broker in the state somewhere. And he thought, I know realtors are the hubs for me. Like I could go for just cold clients, go to networking events, shake hands, see if anyone's refinancing or thinking of buying a home. But the realtors are already in touch. And so he approached the top realtors in the area and he said, look, here's the deal. I would like to become your preferred mortgage broker. Of course, a lot of mortgage brokers would probably like that, but I would like to have this sort of semi-exclusive relationship with you. So here's what I propose. For the next 2 years, I will work for you and I will give you a huge deal. I will take a much smaller percentage than the industry average for 2 years. And during that time, I'm going to do everything I can to give you 5-star service. At the end of those 2 years, if you really agree with me that this was 5-star service, that you're blown away, then I want to ask 2 things. Number 1, that you will write a 5-star review on Yelp. Number 2, that you will then use me at the full rate as your preferred provider. Yeah. And he got a bunch of folks to say yes to that because they were just like, well, yeah, I want somebody who's really good. I need somebody who's top notch, and I wouldn't mind having somebody, and a deal for 2 years. I'm going to make X like way, this percent much more money. Okay, for sure. So he got enough. And apparently if you went to his page, it was just 5-star review after 5-star review. And of course the deal was if it's not 5-star, the only thing I'd ask is feedback.
Yeah.
I just want to know how I could improve and make it 5-star, but no strings attached, no hard feelings if it doesn't work out. Postering. I mean, if you're local, these certain places, they're just perfect for your people. The local organic grocery store, the holistic market, various fairs, various events where there's a poster board, various just locations in town where your people hang out. And again, it's easy to think, oh, people into holistic health, where do they hang out? But remember, this woman who works with the South Asian community, she puts the posters up there in places that have nothing to the South Asian hair salon. If there is such a thing, there could be a poster there. So, if you're doing local, don't underestimate that. That can actually work quite well. Angie Evans was a doula in Canmore, Alberta, and she, so as a doula, of course, the holistic, the organic grocery store, Nutters, was the place where her people were into midwives and doulas, probably going to shop there, not at Safeway or Save-On. So this wasn't something she intended, but it's funny how these hubs work. She shopped there all the time, and she was always chatting with the folks in the supplement section. So they knew her really well. So this is what would happen in the real world. People would come and they're looking at the prenatal vitamins and everything. And, oh, hey, are you expecting? Oh, we're planning. And, oh, that's so exciting. Congratulations. Have you thought what you were going to do for your birth? You going to do a hospital birth or a pool or a midwife or do you? Have you thought? They say, oh, we're actually thinking about a midwife and a doula, but we actually don't even know any. We just moved here. We don't know. Oh, you should talk to Angie. That conversation happened a bunch of times. So hubs can be like this too. Right, working the trade show or the conference. Same thing. I gave this example earlier. If there's an event, some trade show or conference where all your hubs are there, just go network with the hubs. Forget about clients. Don't try to get any clients. I mean, if you happen to get one, great. But mostly just go to talk to those hubs, build the relationship, see where there's a fit, where there's some kind of simpatico, something, and just do that. My God, if you could go to a trade show and everyone at those booths is a hub, and you actually get a connection, then you send a follow-up email, say, hey, we met the other day. You remember we joked about this, or here's a photo of me, but it was so good to meet you the other day. And I just, I do this work and it seems complementary to what you do. I don't know if there's a fit here, but I just thought maybe we could do something like this or that. Anyway, no pressure. I know you're so busy. It was good to meet you. And by the way I said that's chosen. That's not me just spitballing. I don't know if this is a fit is a good line to put in any opening email. No pressure is a really good line to have there. That we don't email them saying, hey, here's how we're going to work together, or I'm so amazing. It's just very, maybe, I don't know, this is what I was thinking, but no pressure. It's just that. We take the pressure out of it, no assumptions so that they don't get their hackles up. Okay, and then there's some thoughts on becoming a hub, but we'll just maybe pause there. Those are a bunch of the main examples I think of with hub marketing for service providers.
Yeah, it had me thinking like, wow, yeah, that's exactly what I did. When I started my
Really?
Ayurvedic medicine practice, I was living in Driggs, Idaho, which is like, at the time was like a very like DIY community. So not really a good fit for people who don't look to other people for help. But I'd go over to Jackson, there was a supplement store. Did we freeze? Did I freeze? There we go. Sorry, it froze on my end. There was a supplement store, and at the supplements, and they were just kind of getting off the ground, and they sold like holistic home goods and supplements, and so I met them, and I gave a free talk at a hub. It was like an Earth Day hub where I had a little booth, and I was doing something in Ayurveda, and there was no one around. It was 20 some years ago. There was no one around doing Ayurveda, and they wanted to learn more about Ayurveda because they were carrying some Ayurvedic supplements. And I think at the Earth Day, I was doing these tongue diagnosis.
Yeah.
Right. So I had my little sign, and I had a list of, you could put your name down and your email down. And if I had time at the fair, I'd do it. Otherwise, we'd follow up. And they were like, can you come do this at the store once a week? So once a week, I'd go to their supplement store, and they would have signed people up over the week.
Huh.
They were trying to sell more supplements. And then this person would come in, they'd do like a little consultation with me. I wasn't trying to sell supplements. I was a practitioner. So then I showed them the supplements to buy in the store. And that was how I built my practice.
That's amazing. So it was a supplement store and you did a weekly tongue diagnosis.
Yeah, I'd come in for an hour, lunch hour, Tuesdays, noon to 1.
How long were the tongue diagnoses?
They were 15 minutes. So I'd see four people a week, 12 people a month, but that's all I needed. Like I didn't need a ton of people because, over 50% of them would become clients.
Really?
Sure, because if someone's reading your tongue and you've never had your tongue read before and they're describing what's going on in your digestive tract and your elimination and in your mind, it's kind of mind-blowing if you've never had a tongue diagnosis, So they would be like, so what do you do?
That's incredible. I'm just making a note of this because that's a great story.
I did another one. This was interesting, and I didn't realize how much of an impact this had, but maybe like a year later, I was doing the 4th of July, had a fair, and they had booths in the park. And so I had a little booth, same gig, tongue diagnosis. And I had a few little products I made at the time. I don't do this anymore. But at the time I made, I had a little supplement product line at that point, and people would come and they'd sign up, same deal. So I'd get their name and email, and then they'd buy a product or two. And I couldn't believe it, but like 10 years later, when I ask people how they heard about me, they're like, don't you remember? You had a little booth at it's the most random thing. People were selling cotton candy and you were doing tongue tie. But, I think the thing is like you're, just looking back, it's like going to the hub, being available, being helpful. Yeah. So in terms of the give and the take and the, establishing, because one of the things that I've seen over time is from neediness comes a vibe of like, can you do this for me? Can you expose me to your, instead of the reciprocity, instead of understanding the law of reciprocity and how that might go? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, totally. Right. If we you go to a hub with this sort of desperate plea of like, oh, please, could you spread the word? I mean, and either, by the way, you could imagine there's two different places people go to. One is collapsing. And that's like, hey, look, it's been really hard for me. And, just mean a lot. If you could just put me in front of your people, that vibe is so repulsive.
It's so repulsive.
Especially to a hub. But the other side is this posturing, where it's just kind of like, hey, I'm a big deal, and your people would be lucky, to receive the blessings of my work. And nobody would do it that over the top. But that vibe is there. There's this kind of like, hey, obviously we're going to work together, and I'm just amazing and all puffed up. And both lose people, the posturing or the collapsing. But there's another place we can get to, which is composure. And it's good to remember, the collapsing fundamentally comes from a place of like, love me. Would you please like me? And the posture, that's the collapsing. The posturing comes from a kind of value me, respect me. So, most politicians, I would say, fit in this posturing thing. And then the collapsing is a lot of the holistic practitioners. And so wanting everybody to love us, completely understandable and completely useless in this dynamic. And so with the composure, we're no longer hustling for love or respect. We've already got it made. And the other thing with the posturing and collapsing is if you then combine that, if you bring that into business, and now you've also got a hidden agenda, because the agenda for to be loved or to be respected, that's hidden too. It's not overtly said. There's this another agenda of buy from me, to get the sale as a hidden agenda that nobody talks about. So if we just let all of that go, and instead we say, okay, here's my agenda. My agenda in this conversation is to get to the truth. And the truth of a very specific question, which is it a fit? So if we approach a hub from that standpoint of we're just trying to see if there is a fit here, like, would this be mutually beneficial? I don't know. If we approach it in that way, it works much better. And we could even say there's 3 wins. I got this from my colleague, George Cal. First, it's got to be a win for you. Like, if you're going to partner with the hub, you're going to have to benefit from this for this to be sustainable. Number 2, it's got to be a win for the hub. So this may mean money that they get. It may mean a certain amount of exposure or attention they get. Or in this case, you do the tongue diagnosis, they sell supplements, and that's the win for them. Brings people into the store or brings them back in. That's a win. But also, we just don't want to make it hard. I see this so often where it's like, yeah, so I got this workshop coming up, and here's a PDF if you want to spread. So what the fuck do I do with a PDF? You want me to print this and poster this? Do you want me to make an email list for you? And like, it's so baffling, So we want to make it easy. This is, the swipe copy. Here's some text, change it if you want. Here's an image you can use. We do everything we can to make it easy. That's a win for, because if I go to a yoga studio and say, hey, do you want to host my workshop? And they say, I don't know. So, but look, no pressure, but it'll take you about 2 minutes of your time to host this because I have the poster already done. You could just print it off, put it up if you want, or I can come in and put up. And I've got the email already written for you as if it's from you, and you can change it if you want. Here's the social media post. Literally, it's just cut, paste, click, send, and then you get all this. You'll make $25 per person who signs up. Wait, that's all I have to do. That's all you have to do. Do I have to be there? No. It'd be great if you were, make it easy. And then of course it has to be a win for the hub's people, which is a big one. Because if you did these tongue diagnoses and people left, oh God, she was terrible. It's over. It's over. So it's got to be all three wins. So as we're beginning that conversation, those are the three things we're holding in mind. And it's good to come in with some ideas, like I was thinking maybe we could do this. I don't know. But again, it's not you don't come in with this vibe of like, wouldn't this be amazing? It's just this. It's like, I was thinking this, I don't know, leaning back, not putting any pressure on it. And then you explore to see if there's something that would genuinely be a win. And then if you want to start, with a more surefire thing, you can just start from the generosity place of like, look, there's a woman, Lisa Bloom. She has a story-coach.com and does a lot of work around storytelling and marketing. And she told me the thing that she did that got her so many clients was she had a bunch of people who she knew were good hubs for her, but also just she admired their work so much. And she just wrote them an email, personal email, saying, I just love your work so much. And was very specific, like this post, this video, you did this kind of theme of your work, this aesthetic, this vibe. I just love it so much. Thank you for being out there. How can I help? And that was it. And they wrote back, oh, yeah, I've got this thing coming up. And if you could help promote it, I'd be so happy to. And she did. And then that started the relationship, that got the people connected to her. And then when she reached out to them later, it was like, hey, I've got this thing, or I think we could partner easier. But the other thing I would say is that it can be very easy to get into this, like it has to be exactly tit for tat. Like, hey, if you email your people, I'll email my people, but it doesn't always work like that. It's just not always a fit both ways in terms of cross promotion. It doesn't always work in both directions. But then you just have to think about, the reciprocity of, okay, what would make it worthwhile for this person? What do they need? Do they need money? Do they need clients? Do they use some exposure? Do they need some help in some other way? And you just, as long as you have that in mind and you go in open instead of already, like we're just trying to open a conversation. We're not trying to close a sale. Yeah.
Gold, Tad. I just want to recall that our last conversation was on spiral marketing.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. And around that body of work that you created. Yeah. Around niching. Spiral niching. Is that what it is? Spiral niching?
The niching spiral was the website, and the book was the niching nest. But yeah, this notion of a spiral as an approach to niching instead of a linear line. Yeah.
And I have taught that and used that like conceptually and referred people.
Amazing.
Yeah, because it's so, and that's how it works. I mean, exactly what you were just describing. So if we can see, oh, Tad and Cate are acting like hubs, right?
Okay.
Right. And it's natural because it's like, when I first came across, he was like, oh my gosh, this guy totally gets it. Like, I don't have to run it through all my filters. I don't have to take, this, whatever. The people who have been involved in digital marketing are going to know exactly what I mean, of just like this sort of like pushy, aggressive, highly digital marketing. And I'm like, Tad's already run it. It's already going through Tad's filters. So then I can just go straight through Tad, and I don't have to filter anything. I can just, it's instantly all usable. And so for you as a hub for Wellness Pro Academy, and you have been a hub for yoga health coaching in the past, and that's why you've been in our libraries. It's like, it's so easy. It's such that exactly like natural, just a natural fit. And when you're saying you're just feeling it out, like that's what you're looking for, is that level of like, it's a natural fit. There's resonance. It's just like, oh my gosh. And then we could do this. And then I could talk about you over there. And it's the easiest thing. It's the easiest thing to do because you're solving problems for my customers.
Well, and that you're just dropping dimes too. I'm making notes myself. It does strike me this is one way of talking about becoming a hub, is that you become their filter. Because decision making is hard. It's really exhausting. We have a certain amount of mental capacity every day, and that's it. And then we're done. I mean, the getting to the end of the day and like, I just want to watch TV or zone out is a real thing. That's not anybody's fault. That's just like, you just can only make so many conscious decisions every day. And so then if you're the one having to, let's say, around your health or your money or your business, be the one that's always making decisions, or like, oh my God, yeah, there's all these marketing tactics or approaches, and which ones are ethical and which ones aren't. Oh my God, there's about 100 of them. What am I gonna create, like a spreadsheet on this? And we're done. So when you trust somebody, whether it's health, money, business, relationship stuff, and it's like, I filtered for you. I already read the books, so you don't have to read the books.
Mhm.
Here's the thing you need right now. It's such a relief for all of us. Or when you find like a clothing store and like, I love all your clothes. What a relief. Because I don't have to just keep shopping at other stores. For this kind of thing, I just come here. Oh, people are so it's such a burden taken off the shoulders, that we carry around of having to decide. And this is the gift that we can give our people when we have a point of view that is trustworthy.
Boy, I know we got to close, but like what just came up when you were talking about that is like humans have a massive need for novelty. And it's not just humans, it's mammals, but like humans, like just, I mean, at the level of dopamine, like we have a need for novelty. And for a hub, we're often providing that
Mm,
novelty. I mean, of like, hey, there's something new you haven't thought about, like, and I can simplify your day and you'll have more energy and more time. Like, are you in? It's just that, like, it's a new thing. It's a new fresh face. It's a even like why I wrote a new book. It's like because
mm,
I have new thinking going on. It's like, you're from spiral niching to
yeah,
hub marketing. Like when I reconnected with you on that, there was a level of not, I already had trust.
yeah,
We're already using your concepts, right? We're already teaching from pointing people back to your website and your videos. And then it was like, oh, there's novelty. Like, oh, and this is exactly what we've been looking for. Even though, like you said in the beginning, and just to come back to the beginning for closure, is it's like, I didn't even know I needed that, but on a
yeah.
metaphysical level, right? The vibes there, the connections there. And it's like, of course, your growing edge of novelty is going to be what my people need now.
Interesting. And this is something for everyone to remember, because sometimes we think, oh, I'm approaching a hub. What's in it for them? I can't offer money, or I can, but I hope you heard what was just said there, that as a hub, being a source of new, cool, interesting stuff for your people is part of the value you offer as a hub. So if you show up as the new novel thing, the unique spin, the unique point of view, the unique take on things, when you go to a podcast, you are not a burden to that podcast in approaching them. You are a potential content. They're looking for the cool new thing. They're looking for people like you. That is a win for them to be seen as a source of good stuff. So you just get to be the good stuff, and then you'll be a hub, and you'll be looking for good stuff too, because your clients will struggle with things. Oh, I can't help you with that. I don't know. And you start looking for other people out there. And of course, we'd be very careful about it, because if you endorse the wrong person, this hurts your credibility too. So, we're just cautious about it. But yeah, then you start to build this kind of ecosystem around you of the people you refer to. And that's one of the ways you can also become a hub, is you develop that ecosystem, and maybe you help that ecosystem be more connected to itself. You introduce all those people you refer to each other, and then they can start to refer to each other. And then it becomes like family, it's the mafia. you know?
Amen. What I anticipate is our members are going to come up with a list of questions. So I'd like to invite you back in a few months to part 2 of this
Oh, I would love
conversation.
that. I would love, and here's the catch. I'll answer anyone's question if they can give me another hub example. That's the cost of admission. If they can bring from their own business or somebody else's, but let's keep it focused probably on service providers. Though I don't know, if you see something in a shop or a store or somebody who sells products, great. But if you can give me a good example of how somebody, instead of going the cold approach, did the warm thing, if you can show me that, I'll answer any questions you've got.
And someone, yeah, did the warm thing. I love it. That's such an easy to remember parameter. It's like just
What?
start noticing. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Start noticing it.
And let me just maybe as a sort of final visual to leave people
Yeah.
with is if I can just find it here. All right, here we go. Okay.
So marketingforhippies.com is where you can find Tad's home. And in there you can find his, again, on spiral
Yeah.
niching, which is amazing. And then he has an ebook on hub marketing. and he has YouTube playlists over on YouTube on hub marketing that I love and it's so easy to get it. And just, I don't know, I just kind of had you on just went to the playlist and pressed play and just listened to them all.
Well, and for everyone, if you're just interested in my take on marketing, yeah, if you go to marketingforhippies.com, there's a starter kit, which is the full footage of my day-long workshop, 2.5 hours plus a bunch of bonus stuff on top of that. And I go into hub marketing, and I also contextualize it in the bigger picture. But when we think about hub marketing, let me just do this little screen share. This is the image I want to leave you with. Yeah.
Great.
This is what we're looking at. We stop doing this, convincing strangers to buy from you, the cold calling, door knocking, shaking hands at random networking events. We move to this hub marketing. So joint ventures, affiliate stuff, networking hubs, all the examples I gave, right? Because this you put in 1 unit of effort, it's at least 1 unit of reward, often better. And we want to move to the hot level of becoming a hub where it's all word of mouth marketing at that point. And when you put in 1 unit of effort, you get 10 units of reward. This is the basic algebra of the situation.
I'm all in.
And
Awesome, Tad. Hey, have a good one. I'll be in touch and we'll schedule part 2 in a couple months.
I love it. Take care.
Peace out. You bet.